All right, let's talk about something that's become all too common in the shiny new world of cryptocurrency. It's called a rug pull. Now, you've probably heard the phrase pulling the rug out from under someone. It means leaving them high and dry, taking away their support when they least expect it. In the crypto world, it's not just a figure of speech, it's a specific kind of scam. It's when developers create what looks like a legitimate project, a new digital coin, a decentralized finance platform, or even a collection of digital art called NFTs. They get people excited. They convince you to invest your hard-earned money. And then once they've collected enough cash, they disappear. The rug is gone, and you're left on the hard floor with nothing. This isn't some sophisticated high-tech hack that requires a team of geniuses to pull off. More often than not, it's a simple, brutal con game dressed up in complicated language. The scammers build a house of cards. They talk about liquidity pools, smart contracts, and tokenomics. They make it sound like the next big thing, a digital gold rush just waiting for you to stake your claim. They create a community, a sense of shared purpose, and a belief that everyone is going to get rich together. But the entire time, the people at the top are holding the rug, just waiting for the right moment to give it a good hard yank. They take all the money and vanish, leaving the project worthless and investors with empty digital wallets. The scary part is that these scams can happen in broad daylight. The technology that makes cryptocurrency so innovative, its decentralized nature, is the very thing that scammers exploit. There are often no central authorities, no banks, no regulators to step in and stop them. It's the Wild West, and the sheriffs are few and far between. These con artists don't just steal your money, they steal your trust. They make you question the entire system. They prey on the hope that drives people to invest in new things, turning that optimism into a weapon against them. It's a dirty job, but not the kind I admire. It's a job for cowards who would rather steal than build. So, when we talk about a rug pull, we're talking about a premeditated act of digital theft. It's a betrayal. The developers don't just abandon a failing project, they actively and intentionally drain it of all its value. They were never in it to create something lasting. Their only goal was to attract as much investment as possible before cashing out and running for the hills. Understanding this scam is the first step toward not becoming a victim. It's about learning to look past the flashy websites and bold promises, and instead, looking for the solid foundation that should be underneath. If there's no foundation, you can bet there's a rug waiting to be pulled. Every rug pull follows a predictable pattern. It's a script, and once you know the scenes, you can see the play for what it is. It all starts with the creation. The scammers, posing as innovative developers, launch a new crypto token or project. They give it a catchy name, create a professional-looking website, and write up a fancy white paper. This document is supposed to explain the project's goals and technology, but it's usually filled with jargon and vague promises of revolutionizing some industry. They're building the stage, making everything look as legitimate and exciting as possible to draw in an audience. The initial setup is all about appearances. Next comes the promotion, and this is where they really go to work. The scammers create a massive hype machine. They flood social media platforms like Twitter, Telegram, and Discord with exciting announcements. They might hire influencers, people with large online followings, to sing the project's praises and promise massive returns. You'll see posts talking about the token going to the moon and creating a strong community. This phase is designed to create FOMO, the fear of missing out. They want you to feel like you're on the outside of a massive opportunity, and the only way to get in on the action is to buy their token, and buy it now. Once the hype is at a fever pitch, investors start pouring in. People see the price of the token starting to climb, fueled by the scammers' own initial buys and the buzz they've manufactured. This early price movement builds confidence. New investors see others making money and want a piece of the pie. The developers will often engage with the community, answering questions and promising future developments to build even more trust. They act like they're in it for the long haul, all while knowing their plan has a very specific end date. This is the part of the con where they make you feel like part of a team, all working toward a common goal. Then comes the final act, the pull. When the amount of money invested in the project reaches a target the scammers have set, they execute their plan. In an instant, they use their control over the project to drain all the real money out of the system, often by swapping the valuable cryptocurrency investors put in for their own worthless tokens. The value of the token plummets to zero in minutes. The scammers then delete the project's website, social media accounts, and disappear without a trace. The community is left in shock, with digital wallets full of a token that is now completely worthless. The trap has been sprung, and the builders have vanished. Not all rug pulls are created equal. These scammers have a few different tricks up their sleeves, different kinds of bait to lure you in. One of the most common methods is called liquidity removal. In the world of decentralized finance, a project needs a liquidity pool, which is basically a pot of money that allows people to trade the new token. Investors put in a valuable cryptocurrency like Ethereum, and in return, they get the project's new token. The scammers, who control the pool, simply wait until it's full of valuable crypto and then withdraw it all at once. They keep the good stuff and leave investors holding the bag of worthless tokens. It's the digital equivalent of a bank owner taking all the money from the vault and replacing it with monopoly money. Another type is simple project abandonment. This one is a bit of a slower burn. The developers raise a bunch of money through an initial coin offering or by selling NFTs. They promise to use that money to build a game, a platform, or some other grand project. For a while, they might even provide some minor updates to keep people hopeful, but eventually, they just stop working. The updates cease, the developers go silent, and the money they raised is gone. While it might look like a failed business, it was a scam from the start. They never intended to build anything. Their only product was the promise itself. Then you have the more technical scams involving malicious smart contracts. A smart contract is a piece of code that automatically executes transactions on the blockchain. Scammers can write hidden functions into this code. For instance, they might create a contract that allows investors to buy a token but secretly prevents them from ever selling it. Only the developers have the ability to sell. So, as more and more people buy in, the price goes up and the scammers can cash out at the top, leaving everyone else stuck with tokens they can never get rid of. It's like a roach motel for your money. It checks in, but it can't check out. Finally, there's supply manipulation. In this scenario, the developers hold a massive amount of the token's total supply from the very beginning. They promote the project and let the price rise as new investors buy in. Once the price reaches a desirable level, they dump their huge stash of tokens on the market all at once. This sudden, massive increase in supply causes the price to crash instantly. While not technically stealing from a liquidity pool, the effect is the same. The developers walk away with huge profits from selling their tokens at the peak, while everyone else who bought in sees their investment become nearly worthless overnight. It's a classic pump and dump scheme, just with a crypto twist. Look, no one wants to get taken for a ride. The good news is that these rug pulls often leave clues. You just have to know what you're looking for. The first and biggest red flag is anonymous developers. If the people behind a project won't reveal their real identities, you should be asking why. Legitimate entrepreneurs are usually proud of their work and want their names attached to it. An anonymous team can disappear without a trace and without any accountability. If they're hiding their faces, they might be planning to hide your money too. It's common sense. You wouldn't hand your cash to a stranger in a ski mask, so why do it online? Another warning sign is the hype itself. Be very wary of projects that promise guaranteed astronomical returns. If it sounds too good to be true, it almost certainly is. Phrases like 100x gains, no risk, and get rich quick are classic marketing tactics for scams. Real investments involve risk and take time to grow. Scammers rely on your greed and impatience. They create a sense of urgency, pressuring you to invest immediately before you have time to do your homework. They don't want you to think, they want you to react. A legitimate project will welcome scrutiny and give you time to make an informed decision. You also need to look at the technical details, even if they seem complicated. One key thing to check for is a liquidity lock. This is a mechanism that prevents the developers from running off with the funds in the liquidity pool for a set period. If the project's liquidity isn't locked, it's like leaving the bank vault wide open. A reputable project will often use a third-party service to lock their liquidity and will be transparent about it. The absence of a lock or a very short lock period is a massive red flag. It means the developers have given themselves a clear and easy exit strategy. Finally, read the project's white paper and check for a clear, detailed roadmap. A lot of scam projects have white papers that are full of fluff, but lack any real substance. They use a lot of buzzwords, but don't explain how their technology actually works or what problem it solves. They might also have a vague or non-existent roadmap for future development. A serious project will have a clear vision and a step-by-step plan for how they intend to achieve it. If the plan looks like it was written in an afternoon and the goals are fuzzy, it's best to walk away. It's your money, and you have a right to know exactly what you're investing in. You know, it's easy to sit back and say, I would never fall for that. But honestly, the truth is, these scams are effective for a reason. They don't just exploit technology, they exploit human psychology. One of the most powerful tools they use is our innate desire for community. Scammers build these vibrant, enthusiastic online groups on platforms like Discord and Telegram. They make you feel like you're part of a special club, a movement of pioneers who are in on a secret. And, well, this sense of belonging can really cloud your judgment. You start to trust the group more than your own instincts. When everyone around you is excited and optimistic, it's hard to be the lone voice of skepticism. Then, there's the power of FOMO, the fear of missing out. We've all seen stories of folks who got rich overnight by investing in some new cryptocurrency. Scammers, they weaponize these stories. They create a situation where you see the price of their token rising rapidly, and you hear everyone talking about the incredible profits they're making. This triggers a panic response. You feel that if you don't act now, you'll miss the opportunity of a lifetime. This emotional rush, well, it overrides logical thinking. You don't stop to check for red flags or do your due diligence because you're afraid the train will leave the station without you. Scammers also abuse the concept of authority and social proof. When they hire an influencer you follow and trust to promote their project, it lends it an air of credibility. You think, if this person is endorsing it, it must be legitimate. This is a mental shortcut our brains take to avoid doing the hard work of research. Similarly, when you see hundreds or thousands of other people investing, it provides social proof that it's a good idea. We assume that the crowd knows something we don't. The scammers are counting on you to follow the herd, without realizing they are the ones leading it right off a cliff. Finally, the complexity of the crypto space itself works in the scammers' favor. The technology is new and confusing for many folks. Terms like blockchain, smart contracts, and yield farming can be downright intimidating. Scammers hide behind this complexity. They know that most people won't understand the technical details, so they can make false claims without being easily called out. They create an information imbalance where they are the experts and you are the novice. This makes you more likely to trust what they say, even if it doesn't quite add up. They're banking on you being too embarrassed or too overwhelmed to ask the tough questions. When a rug pull happens, the financial impact on folks can be downright devastating. We're not just talking about losing a few bucks here and there. People have lost their life savings, their retirement funds, or money they had set aside for their children's education. They invested money they just couldn't afford to lose, all seduced by the promise of quick and easy wealth. The aftermath is a brutal combination of financial ruin and some pretty profound personal regret. One minute they're dreaming of financial freedom, and the next they're staring at a wallet full of worthless digital dust. The dream is gone, but the debt and the loss, well, they're very real. The emotional toll is just as heavy, if not heavier. Victims often feel a deep sense of shame and embarrassment. They blame themselves for being naive or greedy. They might be too ashamed to tell their friends or family what happened, leading to isolation at a time when they need support the most. There's also a feeling of betrayal. They put their trust in a community and in a team of developers, only to have that trust shattered. This can lead to anxiety, depression, and a lasting cynicism that makes it hard to trust anyone or anything in the online world again. The financial wound might heal, but the emotional scar can last a lifetime. Beyond the individual victims, rug pulls do serious damage to the entire crypto ecosystem. Every time one of these scams makes headlines, it reinforces the public perception that cryptocurrency is nothing but a playground for criminals and gamblers. It undermines the work of thousands of honest, hardworking developers who are trying to build legitimate, innovative projects. It scares away potential new users and investors who might otherwise be interested in the technology. These scams tarnish the reputation of the whole industry, making it harder for real projects to gain the trust and support they need to succeed. This damage to trust also invites heavy-handed regulation. When governments and financial authorities see widespread fraud and investor harm, their natural response is to step in with strict rules. While some regulation is necessary, overly broad or poorly designed rules could stifle innovation and harm the decentralized nature that makes crypto unique. In a way, these scammers are not just stealing from investors, they are poisoning the well for everyone. They create a chaotic and dangerous environment that ultimately hurts the long-term health and growth of the digital economy. The mess they leave behind is one that the entire community has to clean up. If there's one big lesson to take away from the dirty business of rug pulls, it's this. In the digital world, trust must be earned, not given freely. It's tempting to get caught up in the excitement of a new project and to trust the charismatic voices leading the charge. But hope is not an investment strategy. You have to approach every new opportunity with a healthy dose of skepticism. You have to ask the hard questions and demand real answers. Think of it like hiring someone for a job. You wouldn't hire them without checking their references and looking at their work history. Why would you give them your money without doing the same? Transparency is the antidote to the secrecy that scammers rely on. Legitimate projects are not afraid to operate in the open. They have public founders, their code is often open source and audited by third parties, and their plans are clear and detailed. They communicate openly with their community, admitting to challenges as well as celebrating successes. When a project is secretive, when its team is anonymous, and when its code is hidden, you should see that as a giant warning sign. Transparency builds accountability. If you know who someone is and what they're doing, they can't just disappear into the digital ether when things go wrong. This all comes down to personal responsibility. In this decentralized world, you are your own bank. You are also your own financial advisor and your own security guard. That's a lot of responsibility, and honestly, it's not for everyone. It means you have to do your own research. Don't just rely on a tweet from an influencer or a hyped-up post in a chat group. Dig into the project yourself. Read the white paper, check for a liquidity lock, investigate the development team, and understand what you are actually investing in. If you don't understand it, you probably shouldn't be putting your money into it. The power to invest is in your hands, but so is the duty to be careful. Ultimately, avoiding these scams is about choosing patience over greed. The promise of getting rich quick is a powerful lure, but it's almost always a trap. Real, sustainable growth takes time. Building something of value takes work. Instead of chasing the next moonshot, look for projects with solid fundamentals, clear use cases, and dedicated, transparent teams. The crypto world isn't a casino. It's a new frontier of technology and finance. And like any frontier, it's filled with both incredible opportunities and hidden dangers. Navigating it safely requires a steady hand, a clear head, and the wisdom to know when an opportunity is just a little too good to be true. Finding out you've been the victim of a rug pull is a gut-wrenching experience. Your first instinct might be to panic or to fall into despair. It's important to take a moment, breathe, and then shift into action. The first thing you should do is gather all the evidence you can. Take screenshots of the project's website, their social media posts, the chat logs from Telegram or Discord, and any conversations you had with the developers. Most importantly, collect the transaction hashes and wallet addresses involved in the scam. This information is a digital paper trail, and it's absolutely critical. Once you have your evidence, you need to report the crime. You can and should report the scam to law enforcement agencies in your country that handle cybercrime, like the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3, in the United States. While local police may not have the resources to handle complex crypto cases, national agencies are becoming more adept at investigating them. It's a long shot, but it's not impossible. Reporting the scam also helps authorities understand the scale of the problem and can contribute to future protections. You are not just doing it for yourself. You are helping to protect others from falling into the same trap. This is not a job you should try to tackle on your own. The world of blockchain analysis is incredibly complex. This is where you need to call in the experts. There are cybersecurity firms and investigative consultants who specialize in tracing stolen cryptocurrency. These are the professionals, the cleanup crew. They have the tools and the expertise to follow the money across the blockchain, even when scammers try to cover their tracks using mixers or other laundering techniques. They can work with law enforcement and crypto exchanges to try and freeze the stolen funds. Finally, connect with other victims. Scammers often use the same tactics repeatedly. By joining forces with others who were scammed by the same project, you can pool your resources and information. There may be a Discord or Telegram group formed by victims where you can share evidence and coordinate your efforts. There is strength in numbers. Working together can make the process of reporting the crime and seeking expert help more effective. It also provides a support network of people who understand exactly what you're going through, which can be invaluable in coping with the emotional fallout of the scam. Don't suffer in silence. So there you have it, the anatomy of a rug pull. It's a simple con wrapped in complex technology, designed to exploit our most basic human instincts: hope, trust, and a little bit of greed. It's a dirty job in the truest sense. It creates nothing, builds nothing, and serves no one but the thief holding the bag. It leaves a trail of financial and emotional destruction, and it casts a long shadow over a field of technology that holds real promise. It's a reminder that every frontier, including the digital one, has its outlaws. The key to navigating this new world isn't to be afraid of it. It's to be smart about it. It's about replacing blind optimism with informed skepticism. It's about taking the time to do the work, to look under the hood, and to understand what you're getting into before you risk your hard-earned money. The principles are the same ones your grandfather would have told you about any investment. Know the people you're dealing with, understand the business, and if it looks too good to be true, turn around and walk away. The technology might be new, but human nature hasn't changed a bit. This isn't meant to scare you away from crypto entirely. There are plenty of honest people doing incredible work in this space, building things that could genuinely change the way we interact with money and data. But you can't find the good ones if you're not willing to look out for the bad ones. It requires a bit of effort. It means you have to get your hands dirty with research. You have to be willing to look past the hype and focus on the substance. It's not glamorous, but it's the necessary work that protects you from getting burned. In the end, the responsibility rests on your shoulders. In a world without gatekeepers, you have to be your own gatekeeper. Be curious, but be cautious. Be hopeful, but be vigilant. And if you do find that the rug has been pulled out from under you, don't let shame keep you silent. Raise your voice, report the crime, and seek out the experts who can help you clean up the mess. This digital frontier is still being settled, and the only way we make it a safer place is by holding the crooks accountable and by sharing the hard-won lessons of our experiences. Stay safe out there. Check the pinned comment to get help from an expert. Work with a cyber expert to resolve your grievances.